students. Hope that all of you are keeping fine. Today we are going to see the new poem, that is Daffodils by William Wordsworth. First we will see about the poet. William Wordsworth, he is one of the greatest romantic poets in English literature, and he is very well known for his use of simple language and use of common people and things in poetry. And he is a great nature lover, and this particular poem, that is Daffodils, was inspired by his real life experience. Before we start our poem discussion, I will just give a brief idea about the poem. One day the poet and his sister, they were on a walk and they came across a beautiful view of belt of daffodils. Daffodil means it is a yellow colored flower. So he and his sister came across a beautiful view of belt of daffodils, and it inspired him very much. The beauty, the sight of these daffodils inspired the poet very much, and it made him very happy, and it delighted the poet very much. And he speaks about the beauty of nature, beauty of that particular sight, and in the final stanza he even says that even long years after, or in his later life, even the very memory of that particular sight helped him to free from all the stress in his life. So here, the final stanza, the poet says, the very memory was very much helpful, the memory of daffodils that he experienced in the past, that helped the poet to free from his depressed mood. And it is an eulogy. Eulogy means it is a praising, highly speaking about something. It speaks about the beauty of nature and the healing power of the nature. Daffodils, it is considered as one of the greatest works of William Wordsworth. And in this poem, he speaks about the beauty of nature and his concept regarding the nature. And in a way he says through this poem that nature, especially the daffodils here in this poem, can fill our minds with pleasure. Whatever we see around us in nature, that can fill our mind with happiness and pleasure. And this poem, it is not an imagery. It is actually he wrote this poem, or this poem is an outcome of his real visualization or actual visualization. It is not an outcome of an imagery, but it is an outcome of his real life experience or actual visualization. I told you that both the poet and his sister, they were on a walk, and then he found a sight of or belt of a daffodils. So it was a real life experience. From his real life experience, he got inspiration and he wrote the poem. It is not an imagery, but it is the outcome of actual visualization. He found something. He found the beautiful belt of daffodils, and that very beauty of daffodils inspired him to write this poem. And even that very sight filled the mind of the poet with happiness and pleasure. Not only that time, but later in his life, whenever he was in a depressive mood or isolated mood, then the very memory of daffodils, it brought happiness in the mind of the poet. So the poem is the actual visualization. It is the outcome of the actual visualization of the poet. In this poem, two themes are mainly discussed. The first one, nature is a source of eternal joy. And the second one, nature's healing power. First one, nature is a source of eternal joy. Eternal joy means everlasting, without any end. Eternal joy, everlasting happiness. The poem speaks about the beauty of nature, and the nature everywhere we can find beauty, and that beauty can bring happiness or joy in the mind of people. We see the mountains, flowers, or the trees, moon. Everything can create happiness in the mind of people. That is why the poet says the theme, that is, the nature is the source of eternal joy. It can create happiness and joy in the mind of people. And the second one, nature's healing power. That means a curative power. That thing mainly discussed in the fourth stanza or the last stanza of the poem. That is, the nature has got a healing power. It can heal the depressed mind. It can fill the mind with the happiness and pleasure of the depressive or isolated mind. The person may be depressed with many reasons, but the very sight or by seeing beautiful things around us, that can create happiness in the mind of people. That is why the second theme, that is nature's healing power. It can heal the mind of people, and it can fill the mind of people with happiness and joy. About the origin of the poem, it is inspired by the real life experience of the poet. Already I told, the poet and his sister, they were on a walk, and then he found a beautiful sight of belt of daffodils. And that particular experience inspired the poet to write this poem. And he felt the very view was something very beautiful, and it created a kind of happiness in the mind of poet, not only that time but also later in his life. And the very title of this poem is very apt, because this poem speaks about daffodils and its beauty and its healing power. And it is a poem, it is connected with the nature, and the poet is inspired from the beauty of nature. So the poem is connected with the beauty of nature. Now we will just go through the style of the poem. The form of the poem, it is lyric. You know the speciality of a lyric. It is very simple and it speaks about a single emotion. Here in this poem, we can see the poet speaks about the nature, and he uses simple language, not something very complex. And it is not connected with something intellectual level, but something connected with the heart and emotions. The literary devices used here in this poem, first of all, it is personification. Why the poet is using personification in this poem? The main aim is to highlight the unity between human being and nature. So by using personification in this poem, the poet underlines the unity between human being and the nature. That is why he uses personification in this poem. And other literary devices used in this poem, simile, metaphor, alliteration and inversion. So when we go through the poem, we will see these literary devices, and you can also find out the literary devices used in this poem. The poem is very simple in form and language, and there are 4 stanzas of 6 lines. So total 24 lines are there. The rhyming scheme of this poem, it is A, B, A, B, C, C. It is the rhyming scheme of the poem. First stanza. I wandered lonely as a cloud that floats on high over vales and hills, when all at once I saw a crowd, a host of golden daffodils, beside the lake, beneath the trees, fluttering and dancing in the breeze. So here we will get an idea that the poet was traveling. The poet was traveling with his sister. How aimlessly he was traveling, aimlessly, just like a cloud which travels over the vales and the hills. Vales here means the valleys. And at that time, all over a sudden, he met or he came across a large number of daffodils. He saw a large number of daffodils beside the lake and beneath the trees. The flowers were fluttering and dancing in the breeze. That is the message that is conveyed through the first stanza, that the poet, he was traveling just like lonely as the clouds which travels or moves over the valleys and the hills. Then he came across a beautiful sight of daffodils, and he says that they were growing besides the lake and beneath the tree, and they were just dancing and fluttering in the breeze. Now we will just go through the detailed explanation about the stanza. The first line itself we can find the use of simile. That means the poet compares himself with the clouds. So the use of simile. He says that he was wandering just like the clouds. And what is the speciality of the clouds? It moves without any aim. The poet also was moving without any aim in his mind. So he compares himself with the cloud which moves over the vales and the hills. Vales here means valleys. So just like the clouds which moves around or over the vales and the hills, the poet also was moving without having any aim in his mind. And then we can find certain expressions like a crowd and host. So here the poet gives or uses these expressions in order to give an idea about the idea to the reader that he found a large number of daffodils. It is not a few number or few daffodils, but it was a large number of daffodils. That is why he uses the expressions like host and the crowd. And in a way, these all are the attributions or the attributes of human beings. So he uses these words or these expressions in order to give an idea to the reader that he found a large number of daffodils, not a few daffodils. And then again, the last two lines we can find the use of personification. He uses two words there, fluttering and dancing. Fluttering means moving slightly just like the birds and the butterflies. So that is a quality of a living thing. So that living quality is attributed to the inanimate thing, that is to the flowers or the daffodils. So that is the first use of personification. He uses the word fluttering, which means moving slightly just like the birds and the butterflies. He uses that or he attributes that quality to an inanimate thing, that is to daffodils. And the second use of personification, that is dancing, that is a human quality, and that human or living quality is attributed to an inanimate thing, that is the daffodils. So he just says that the daffodils, they were dancing and fluttering in the breeze. And here from this last two lines we will get an idea that where the daffodils were growing, the place where the daffodils were growing. That he says that besides the lake and beneath the tree, beside the lake and beneath the tree. So from these lines we will get an idea that It is, he speaks about a breezy day. The speciality of the day, it was breezy. So here he says, beside the lake, beneath the trees, fluttering and dancing in the breeze. So the day, it was a breezy day, and we will get an overall idea about the landscape. The landscape includes hills, valleys, trees, and the rivers, and at the same time the atmosphere, a breezy atmosphere. So that is the idea we will get from the first stanza, that the poet was just wandering just like a cloud without having any aim in his mind. Then he came across a beautiful sight of daffodils, and he says that the daffodils, they were just moving, or they were fluttering and dancing in the breeze beside the lake and under the trees. So that is the idea we will get from the first stanza. The second stanza continues as the stars that shine and twinkle on the Milky Way. They stretched in never-ending line along the margin of a bay. 10,000 saw I at a glance, tossing their heads in sprightly dance. So here the poet again uses the simile. The first line itself, the poet compares the daffodils with the stars. The flowers are compared to the stars. Continuous here means growing in number, means numerous. The flowers stretched in a continuous line just like the stars in Milky Way or in a galaxy. The daffodils were shining just like the stars. Why the poet is saying the daffodils are shining like stars? Because the daffodils were golden in color. And at the same time, these daffodils were twinkling. The reason is that they were fluttering in the breeze. Fluttering means moving. So twinkling means there is a slight change in the light. The stars, when we observe the stars, we can notice that there is slight change in the light. The light may change. The same way the flowers, when they slightly move, it is just like the stars twinkles. This comparison with the stars have a great implication in indicating that the flowers are heavenly as the stars. By saying or by comparing the flowers with the stars, the poet is indicating or referring that the flowers are having heavenly, they are also heavenly as the stars. That means the flowers have got a greater value. They are also heavenly as the stars. So the use of simile, we can notice that they are numerous in number just like the stars. And at the same time, in the same way the stars shine and twinkle, these daffodils also shine and twinkle. So the use of simile we can find here. And then the flowers were visible as far as the poet could see along the shore line of a bay. They stretched in never-ending line along the margin of a bay. Margin means the bank and bay means the river. The poet says that they stretched, the flowers or the daffodils stretched in never-ending lines. That means without any end, numerous in number. So the flowers were visible in never-ending line where along the margin of a bay. This is why he uses the phrase never-ending line. That is why he uses the phrase never-ending lines in order to say that the flowers are numerous. Here continuous and never-ending may also suggest that the flowers left an everlasting impact on him. So the use of continuous or never-ending, it means that the flowers gave a kind of everlasting impact on the poet. And the next lines, 10,000 saw I at a glance, tossing their heads in sprightly dance. Here, the poet exaggerates the number of flowers by saying 10,000 saw I at a glance. All over a sudden, when he looked, the poet says that he saw 10,000 flowers. It is a kind of exaggeration. So we can find that he uses the hyperbole here. Hyperbole. The last two lines of the second stanza, 10,000 saw I at a glance, tossing their heads in sprightly dance. Here the poet exaggerates the number of flowers by saying that he saw 10,000 flowers at a glance. When he looked, he saw 10,000. By saying 10,000, here he means that he saw a large number of flowers. The use of exaggeration we can find here. It indicates that the poet has never seen so many daffodils at once. This is the first time the poet sees a large number of daffodils in this way. So it indicates that the poet has never seen so many daffodils at once. So he was filled with happiness and joy. That is why he says 10,000 saw I at a glance. And this is a type of exaggeration and it is known as hyperbole. This type of exaggeration is known as hyperbole. That means exaggerating the thing, what is real, and he exaggerates here the number of flowers. He says that 10,000 he saw at a glance. And again he says that the poet also conveys the message that daffodils were tossing their heads and in a sprightly dance. Tossing here means moving side to side, moving from one side to another side. Here the poet says that the daffodils were tossing their heads as if they were dancing in happiness. Sprightly dance. Sprightly dance means a lively dance, a spirited dance. So the poet conveys the message that the flowers were tossing or moving their heads just like they were dancing. Again, the use of personification we can notice here. And you should understand that why the poet is using the personification here. It is to highlight the unity between man and nature. When we discussed about the personification, I already said the poet uses personification in the poem mainly to convey the message or the value of unity between nature and human being. The last two lines, there also we can find the use of personification. Tossing. Daffodils were tossing their heads in sprightly dance. Just like human beings dance, these daffodils, according to the poet, the daffodils were moving their heads just in a sprightly dance. So in this stanza, the poet conveys the message that the flowers, they were numerous just like the stars, and these flowers were shining and twinkling just like the star. And in a way he says that these flowers are numerous and it is stretched in a never-ending line. And the last two lines of the stanza he speaks that he saw 10,000 in order to indicate that the flowers are large in number, and he uses the personification in the last line. Stanza. The waves beside them danced, but they outdid the sparkling waves in glee. A poet could not but be gay in such a jocund company. I gazed and gazed, and little thought what wealth the show to me had brought. First, you just understand some of the meaning here. Outdid, that means excelled or surpassed. Sparkling here means shining, and glee, happiness or joy. And gay here means it is an old usage meaning happy. Jocund means again the meaning is happy. Gazed means looked or gazed. To gaze means to look. So that is the some of the new vocabularies you can see here in this stanza. So the explanation. The waves in the bay or the river were dancing and looking gleeful at the atmosphere. The waves there in the river, they were also dancing and looking gleeful. They were also very happy at the atmosphere. But the poet says that the flowers excel the lively waves in their happiness. Compared to the dancing of the waves in the river, the dancing of flowers were something very great, according to the poet. The poet says that the flowers surpass the lively waves in their happiness. The flowers were dancing with more spirit and more happiness. And again, the poet says that a poet could not but be gay, but be happy, having such cheerful companion. Who is the companion here? That is the daffodils. Having such a cheerful companion like the daffodils, a poet like Wordsworth cannot help being happy. Somehow the poet becomes happy here by seeing or by getting a companion like the beautiful daffodils, which dances with all the happiness. When a person gets such a kind of happy friend, the person normally become happy. That is the message he gives through the third and fourth line. A poet could not but be gay in such a jocund company. Such a kind of happy company, the poet also becomes very happy. Because of that, what he did, I gazed, but little thought what wealth the show to me had brought. The word gazed is used twice to indicate how moved or charmed the poet was. So the use of gaze two times we can notice here. The reason is that it is to indicate the happiness of the poet after seeing the daffodils. So he gazed at them for a long time, forgetting his surroundings. So the impact of flowers or daffodils on the poet, we can notice here that. And he looked for a long time, forgetting even about his surroundings. And then arose a question in his mind. What is the question? He did not think much about the wealth that the flowers had brought to him. He was not able to think what kind of wealth he got after looking at these flowers for a long time. But the poet realized that later, maybe after few days, the wealth was happiness and the pleasant memory that he enjoyed for a long time since the particular day. So that we will see in the next stanza. So here the last two lines or the final lines of the third stanza, we can notice that there arises a question in the mind of the poet that what kind of wealth the poet got after observing the flowers for a long time. And the poet realized the wealth. What is the wealth? What is the wealth here? The happiness and the pleasant memory that he enjoyed for a long time since that particular day. So the first line, the waves beside them danced, but they outdid the sparkling waves in glee. But they here means the flowers or the daffodils. I hope that you understood. The waves, they were also dancing with all the happiness. But according to the poet, the dance of the daffodils or the flowers, they surpassed the happiness of the waves there in the river. And again the poet says that by getting such kind of happy company, the poet also becomes very happy. Because of that, he looked at the flower for a long time, even he forgot about the surrounding. And finally he says that he is wondering what kind of wealth he got after observing the flower for a long time. But later he realized that the wealth is happiness and the pleasant memory of daffodils. Fourth stanza. For often when on my couch I lie, in vacant or in pensive mood, they flash upon that inward eye, which is the bliss of solitude. And then my heart with the pleasant pleasure fills and dances with the daffodils. Here we can notice a break in time. That means there is a clear shift from the past to the present. Till third stanza, the poet described his past experience. That is, he came across a group of or a large number of daffodils, and that made his heart very happy. That is something that had happened in the past, but now he shifts from past to the present. What is the implication of that in his present life? And here you can notice the poet starts the fourth stanza with for often when on my couch I lie. So in a way he is trying to give answer to the last line of the third stanza. There he was confused what kind of wealth he got after observing the daffodils. So in the fourth line the poet is trying to give the answer. What is the wealth actually the poet got? By starting the stanza with the for, the poet continues his reasoning for saying that the flowers had brought him wealth, and the wealth is the happiness, pleasure, and the pleasant memory. And he clarifies why the sight of the flowers was so important in his life. In this fourth stanza, he explains why the very sight of the flowers or the sight of the daffodils was so important in his life. And he says, the second line, in vacant or in pensive mood. Vacant means idle, or pensive, that means very sad mood. Whenever he is very idle or lazy or sad in mood, then they flash upon that inward eye. The poet says that in vacant or in pensive mood, whenever he is sad or idle or lazy, then they flash. They flash means the memory of the daffodils that he experienced in the past. The first three stanzas you remember. That is a past experience of the poet. So whenever he lie in depressed mood or sad mood, then the very memory of the beautiful daffodils, they flash upon. Flash upon means the suddenly appear. The very memory of the daffodils suddenly appear where upon that inward eye. Inward eye means the imagination. So whenever the poet is depressed or sad in mood, then the beautiful memory of the daffodils that come all over a sudden into his imagination, and which is the bliss of solitude. That memory, by thinking about the beauty of daffodils, the poet says that it is the bliss of solitude. Bliss means that is a greatest blessing or greatest happening in his solitude or in his loneliness. The daffodils have become an everlasting memory for the poet whenever he is lonely. So he calls it a bliss of solitude, a blessing of staying alone. So the memory of the beautiful daffodils, that became a blessing for the poet whenever he is alone. And this memory, whenever this memory of the daffodils come to the mind of the poet, then his heart filled with pleasure and dances with the daffodils. And whenever he sees the flowers in his imagination, then he also dances with the daffodils. Why? Because his heart is filled with pleasure and happiness after seeing the or recollecting the daffodils. So in the fourth line, we can notice a break of time. That means there is a shift from past to the present. till the third stanza, the poet spoke about the past experience, and in the fourth stanza, the poet says that past experience of the beautiful daffodils, that has got a relevance in his present life. Whenever he is in very sad or idle mood, then the very memory of the beautiful daffodils, that becomes the that becomes the blessing or greatest happiness in his loneliness, and his heart filled with pleasure and dances with daffodils. So that is the end of poem 6, Daffodils. So you may please just go through the poem once again, and the short summary it is given in your workbook. You may please go through that one, and the theme of the poem also is given. So you just go through that one and make a summary of the poem, writing about the theme of the poem and the poetic devices used in the poem and the style of the poem. And again, from the unsolved passages, you may please write answer to the first 2 unsolved passages. Thank you. Have a nice day.